Catherine Elizabeth Middleton walked through the ancient stone corridors of St. Andrews University, her arms full of art history books and her mind buzzing with excitement about her new life as a university student. It was September 2001, and the Scottish coastal town felt like a world away from her comfortable middle-class upbringing in Berkshire. She had no idea that within these weathered walls, she would meet the person who would change her life forever. The daughter of Michael and Carol Middleton, Kate had grown up in a loving household where hard work and determination were valued above all else. Her parents had built their party supply business from the ground up, transforming it from a small venture run from their kitchen table into a multi-million-pound enterprise. This entrepreneurial spirit had been instilled in Kate from an early age, along with a strong sense of family values and the importance of staying grounded despite any success that might come their way. Kate's childhood in the picturesque village of Bucklebury had been filled with outdoor adventures, family holidays, and the kind of stability that many children could only dream of. She attended prestigious schools, including Marlborough College, where she excelled academically and developed her love for sports, particularly hockey and tennis. Her teachers remembered her as a bright, determined student who possessed a quiet confidence and natural leadership abilities that set her apart from her peers. When she chose to study art history at St. Andrews, Kate was following her genuine passion for the subject. She had always been drawn to beautiful things, whether it was the way light fell across a painting or the intricate details of historical architecture. The university, with its medieval buildings and rich academic tradition, seemed like the perfect place to pursue her interests while experiencing the independence that comes with university life. Meanwhile, in another part of the campus, Prince William Arthur Philip Louis Windsor was struggling with his own adjustment to university life, though his challenges were quite different from those of his fellow students. As the eldest son of Prince Charles and the late Princess Diana, William carried the weight of royal expectation on his shoulders, along with the intense media scrutiny that had followed him since birth. The young prince had chosen St. Andrews partly because of its academic reputation, but also because it offered him something he desperately craved: a chance at normalcy. The university had agreed to a media blackout during his time there, giving him the rare opportunity to live like any other student, at least to some extent. He had enrolled to study art history, though he would later switch to geography, and was living in St. Jabari, Salvatore's Hall, one of the university's oldest residences. William's path to St. Andrews had been anything but ordinary. Born second in line to the British throne, he had spent his childhood navigating the complex world of royal protocol, while his parents' marriage crumbled in the public eye. The divorce of Charles and Diana in 1996 had been painful enough, but nothing could have prepared him for the devastating loss of his mother in a car crash in Paris in August 1997. At just 15 years old, William had walked behind Diana's coffin through the streets of London, watched by millions around the world, in one of the most heartbreaking public displays of grief ever witnessed. The years following his mother's death had been a time of healing and growth for William. He had completed his studies at Eton College, where he had found solace in sports and formed lasting friendships with classmates who treated him as simply William, rather than Your Royal Highness. He had also taken a gap year that included time in Chile working on community projects, and a period in Kenya, experiences that had broadened his perspective and strengthened his desire to use his position to make a positive difference in the world. Now, as he settled into his small room in St. Salvatore's Hall, William was determined to make the most of his university experience. He wanted to study hard, make genuine friends, and perhaps most importantly, discover who he was beyond his royal title. He had no way of knowing that fate was about to introduce him to a young woman who would not only capture his heart, but also prove to be the perfect partner for his future role. The first meeting between William and Kate was not the stuff of fairy tales. There were no orchestral crescendos or love-struck gazes across a crowded room. Instead, it happened in the most ordinary of circumstances. They were both students living in the same university residence hall. St. Salvatore's Hall, known to students simply as Sally's, was home to about 130 first-year students, and like any university accommodation, it was a place where friendships formed over shared meals, late-night study sessions, and the general chaos of young adult life. Kate had noticed William, of course. It would have been impossible not to, given that his presence at the university had been major news throughout the United Kingdom. But she was determined not to treat him any differently than she would any other fellow student. This approach, whether conscious or not, would prove to be one of the things that attracted William to her. In a world where people often wanted something from him, Kate's genuine disinterest in his royal status was both refreshing and intriguing. Their early interactions were casual and group-based. They would find themselves in the same common areas, participating in the same hall activities, and gradually becoming part of the same social circle. Kate's natural warmth and easy laugh made her popular among their fellow students, while William appreciated being able to relax and show his sense of humor without constantly worrying about how his words might be interpreted or reported. During those first few months at university, both William and Kate were focused on settling into their new lives and academic routines. Kate threw herself into her art history studies, spending hours in the library poring over books about Renaissance painters and medieval architecture. She joined the university's hockey team and quickly became known for her competitive spirit and team loyalty. Her friends described her as someone who was always ready with the encouraging word or a helping hand, traits that would serve her well in the years to come. William, meanwhile, was discovering the joys and challenges of relative anonymity. For the first time in his life, he could walk into a lecture hall or university pub without everyone stopping to stare. He could engage in normal conversations about everything from football to philosophy without his every word being analyzed for deeper meaning. This freedom allowed different aspects of his personality to emerge, including his quick wit, his genuine interest in environmental issues, and his ability to be a loyal and caring friend. As the autumn term progressed, William and Kate began to spend more time together. Though initially as part of a larger group of friends, they would gather in each other's rooms to watch movies, head out to the local pubs for drinks, or take long walks along the beautiful St. Andrews coastline. These informal interactions allowed them to get to know each other gradually, without the pressure or intensity that might have developed in a more formal dating situation. Kate's friends noticed that she seemed completely unfazed by William's royal status. She neither fawned over him nor went out of her way to avoid him. Instead, she treated him with the same friendly, straightforward manner she showed to everyone else. This natural approach was exactly what William needed. He had experienced enough artificial relationships and calculated interactions to recognize and appreciate genuine behavior when he saw it. For Kate, getting to know William revealed a young man who was far more complex and interesting than the tabloid portrayal suggested. Behind the public image was someone who was thoughtful, funny, and deeply committed to honoring his mother's memory while forging his own path. He could discuss serious topics like conservation and social responsibility with passion and insight, but he could also be wonderfully silly and spontaneous when the moment called for it. The Scottish winter brought the small community of St. Andrews students even closer together. The harsh weather and long, dark nights created a cozy atmosphere in the residence halls, where students would gather around radiators with cups of tea and engage in the deep, rambling conversations that are a hallmark of university life. It was during these intimate gatherings that William and Kate's friendship began to deepen into something more meaningful. Their fellow students watched with interest as the friendship between the prince and the art history student evolved. There was nothing dramatic or obvious about it. Rather, it was marked by the small signs that those who knew them well began to notice. William would seek out Kate's company more frequently. Kate would save a seat for William at group dinners. They would walk together to lectures, their heads bent close in conversation. Their friends could see the easy comfort they felt in each other's presence. The relationship might have developed more quickly if not for the unique circumstances they found themselves in. William was acutely aware that any romantic relationship he entered into would immediately become the subject of intense media speculation and scrutiny. He had seen how this attention had affected his parents' relationship and was determined not to subject anyone he cared about to that pressure unless he was absolutely certain about his feelings. Kate, for her part, was wise enough to understand the implications of becoming romantically involved with the future King of England. She had watched the media coverage of William's previous relationships and understood that dating him would mean giving up any hope of privacy or a normal life. These were not decisions to be made lightly, and both young people approached their growing feelings with a maturity that belied their age. As their first year at St. Andrews drew to a close, William and Kate had established a solid foundation of friendship and mutual respect. They had shared countless conversations about their hopes, dreams, and fears. They had supported each other through the stresses of exams and the homesickness that all students experience. They had laughed together at inside jokes and comfortable silences that spoke of a deep understanding between them. The summer break would test the strength of their connection. William would return to his royal duties and the fishbowl existence that came with them, while Kate would go back to her family home in Berkshire. The question that hung unspoken between them was whether what they had built in the protective bubble of university life could survive in the real world. Neither of them could have predicted that their friendship, forged in the ancient halls of St. Andrews University, would grow into one of the most watched and celebrated love stories of the modern era. They were simply two young people who had found in each other a kindred spirit and a source of joy. The future, with all its challenges and triumphs, lay ahead of them. But for now, they were content to take things one day at a time, building something real and lasting in the process. When William and Kate returned to St. Andrews for their second year in September 2002, something had changed between them. The summer apart had given both time to reflect on their friendship and what it might become. The comfortable camaraderie they had shared during their first year had evolved into something deeper, more charged with possibility and unspoken feelings. They had kept in touch during the holidays through phone calls and text messages, conversations that often stretched late into the night as they shared stories about their respective summers. William had spent time at Balmoral with his grandmother, the Queen, and had undertaken his first official royal engagements, experiences that felt surreal after the normalcy of university life. Kate had worked at her parents' business and spent time with her family, but found herself constantly thinking about the prince who had become such an important part of her life. The change in their relationship became apparent to their friends almost immediately upon their return to campus. While they had been close during their first year, there was now an undeniable electricity between them. Their conversations were more intense, their glances lingered longer, and their friends began to notice the way they seemed to gravitate toward each other in any social setting. The transformation from friendship to romance wasn't sudden or dramatic. Instead, it unfolded gradually over the autumn months of their second year, like a flower slowly opening to the sun. They began spending more time alone together, taking long walks along the rugged Scottish coastline where they could talk without the possibility of being overheard by curious fellow students. These conversations ranged from the profound to the playful, covering everything from William's concerns about his future royal duties to Kate's passion for photography and art. It was during one of these walks, as winter was beginning to settle over St. Andrews, that William first kissed Kate. They had been discussing their plans for the Christmas holidays when William suddenly stopped walking and turned to face her. The North Sea wind was whipping Kate's long brown hair around her face, and William reached up to brush it away from her eyes. The gesture was so tender and intimate that it took Kate's breath away. When William leaned down to kiss her, it felt like the most natural thing in the world, the culmination of months of growing attraction and deepening emotional connection. From that moment on, William and Kate were a couple, though they kept their relationship deliberately low-key. They had learned to be discreet, understanding that any public display of their romance would immediately attract unwanted media attention. Their friends were sworn to secrecy, and the couple themselves were careful to maintain their usual social routines while stealing private moments whenever possible. Their relationship deepened throughout the winter and spring of their second year. They would study together in the library, Kate helping William with his art history assignments, while he assisted her with research for her papers. They attended university social events as a couple, though always as part of a larger group that helped deflect attention from their relationship. Their friends marveled at how natural they seemed together, how they balanced each other's personalities and brought out the best in one another. Kate's influence on William was particularly noticeable to those who knew him well. She encouraged him to relax and enjoy his university experience more fully, to worry less about living up to impossible expectations and focus more on discovering his own interests and passions. Under her gentle influence, William became more confident and comfortable in his own skin, more willing to take risks and try new experiences. For Kate, being with William opened up new perspectives on life and responsibility. She began to understand the weight of expectation that rested on his shoulders and developed a deep appreciation for the sacrifices that royal life would eventually require. Rather than being daunted by these realities, she seemed to embrace them as challenges she was ready to face if it meant being with the man she was falling in love with. The summer of 2003 brought their first real test as a couple. They would be separated for several months, with William fulfilling royal obligations and Kate returning home to work and spend time with her family. The question that hung over them was whether their relationship could survive the distance and the very different worlds they would be inhabiting. They stayed in constant contact throughout the summer, talking every day and sending each other long, affectionate text messages. William arranged for Kate to join him for a weekend at Balmoral, where she met several members of the royal family in an informal setting. The visit was a success, with Kate's natural warmth and genuine personality winning over William's relatives. The Queen herself was reportedly impressed by Kate's composure and good manners, while Prince Charles appreciated her intelligence and her obvious positive effect on his son. When they returned to St. Andrews for their third year, William and Kate moved out of university accommodation and into a shared flat with two other friends. This arrangement gave them more privacy and the opportunity to experience something closer to domestic life together. They took turns cooking meals, studied together at the kitchen table, and hosted dinner parties for their friends. It was during this period that their relationship truly solidified into something that both began to recognize as permanent and life-changing. Living together, even in the casual arrangement of shared student accommodation, revealed new dimensions of their compatibility. Kate discovered that William was more domestically capable than she had expected, while William was charmed by Kate's ability to create a warm, welcoming atmosphere wherever she was. They developed routines and inside jokes, weathered the occasional disagreement, and learned how to support each other through the stresses of academic work and personal challenges. Their third year also brought increased media attention, despite their best efforts to keep their relationship private. Rumors began circulating in the tabloid press about William's special friend, and photographers were increasingly spotted around St. Andrews hoping to capture images of the couple together. This external pressure tested their relationship in new ways, forcing them to become even more careful about when and where they appeared together in public. Kate handled the media attention with remarkable grace and dignity. She never sought publicity or tried to capitalize on her relationship with William. Instead, she focused on her studies and maintained the same warm, down-to-earth personality that had attracted William in the first place. Her refusal to change who she was in response to external pressures only deepened William's respect and love for her. The couple's friends were impressed by how they managed to maintain the essential qualities of their relationship, despite the increasing external pressures. They were still the same people who had fallen in love during long walks on the beach and quiet conversations in university common rooms. The strength of their foundation allowed them to weather the storms that came with public attention. During their final year at St. Andrews, William and Kate faced the challenge of planning their post-graduation futures while maintaining their relationship. William would be expected to pursue a military career before eventually taking on more royal duties, while Kate would need to find her own path in the professional world. The uncertainty of their future circumstances could have driven them apart, but instead it seemed to strengthen their commitment to each other. They spent countless hours discussing their hopes and fears for the future. William was honest about the challenges that came with being in a relationship with him, while Kate was equally honest about her willingness to face those challenges if it meant they could build a life together. These conversations were sometimes difficult and emotional, but they were also essential in establishing the foundation of trust and communication that would sustain their relationship through the trials ahead. Their graduation from St. Andrews in June 2005 marked the end of one chapter of their relationship and the beginning of another. As they walked across the stage to receive their degrees, both knew that their carefree university days were coming to an end. The real world, with all its complications and responsibilities, was waiting for them. The graduation ceremony was attended by Prince Charles, who had come to see his son receive his degree. Kate's parents were also there, and the meeting between the two families was warm and friendly. It was clear to everyone present that William and Kate's relationship had evolved far beyond a university romance into something serious and enduring. As they said goodbye to St. Andrews and the friends who had shared their university experience, William and Kate were already planning their next steps together. They had proven to themselves and to each other that their love could survive the unique pressures of their circumstances. They had built a relationship based on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine affection that had only grown stronger over the 4 years they had spent together. The future would bring new challenges and opportunities, moments of joy and periods of difficulty. But as they left the university that had brought them together, William and Kate were confident that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. They had found in each other not just romantic love, but a true partnership that could withstand whatever tests life might bring their way. Their love story had begun in the most ordinary of circumstances, but it had grown into something extraordinary through the strength of their commitment to each other and their shared vision of the future they wanted to build together. The years immediately following their graduation from St. Andrews would prove to be the most challenging period of William and Kate's relationship. The protective bubble of university life had been burst, and they now faced the harsh realities of life in the public eye, career pressures, and the weight of royal expectations that would shape their future together. William's path after graduation was largely predetermined. He would enter the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst in May 2006 to begin his officer training, following in the footsteps of countless generations of royals before him. This decision, while expected, meant that he would be away from Kate for extended periods, living under strict military discipline that would limit their opportunities to see each other and communicate freely. Kate, meanwhile, faced the more uncertain challenge of finding her own career path while navigating her relationship with the future King of England. Unlike William, whose professional trajectory was mapped out by centuries of royal tradition, Kate had to create her own way forward. The media scrutiny that intensified after their graduation made this process even more complicated, as every career choice she made was analyzed for its appropriateness for a potential future princess. Initially, Kate took a position as an assistant accessories buyer at the fashion chain Jigsaw, owned by family friends Belle and John Robinson. The job seemed like a perfect fit for someone with her background in art history and her natural sense of style. However, the constant media attention made it almost impossible for her to perform her duties effectively. Photographers camped outside the store's offices, and her every movement was documented and discussed in the tabloid press. The intensity of the media attention was unlike anything Kate had experienced during her university years. Headlines speculated about every aspect of her life, from her family background to her relationship with William to her potential suitability as a future royal. Some of the coverage was respectful and sympathetic, but much of it was intrusive and occasionally cruel. Photographers followed her to the gym, to her parents' home, and to social events, making it virtually impossible for her to have any privacy. William watched this treatment of Kate with growing frustration and anger. He had seen how media pressure had affected his mother's life and was determined not to let the same thing happen to the woman he loved. He instructed his protection officers to look out for Kate's safety, though they could do little about the legal activities of photographers working on public property. More importantly, he provided Kate with emotional support during this difficult period, calling her multiple times a day and arranging to see her whenever his military training schedule allowed. The strain of the media attention and William's absence during his Sandhurst training took its toll on their relationship. Kate struggled with the isolation and pressure of being constantly in the public eye without any official status that might provide some protection. She had to be careful about every public appearance, knowing that a single misplaced word or inappropriate outfit could generate negative headlines that would reflect not only on her, but potentially on William and the royal family as well. Friends noticed that Kate seemed to lose some of her natural sparkle during this period. The confident, joyful young woman they had known at university was replaced by someone who appeared more guarded and careful. She began to withdraw from some social activities, partly to avoid media attention and partly because the constant scrutiny had made her more self-conscious about her behavior and appearance. William's military training at Sandhurst was demanding and intensive, requiring his complete focus and commitment. The strict schedule and limited communication opportunities meant that he could provide Kate with less support than either of them would have liked. When they did manage to spend time together, the pressure of making the most of their limited opportunities sometimes made their interactions feel forced and stressful rather than natural and relaxed. The couple faced their first major crisis in 2007, when rumors began circulating about the stability of their relationship. The tabloid press, hungry for any new angle on their story, began speculating that the pressures of royal life were driving them apart. Headlines questioned whether Kate was tough enough for life as a royal, while others suggested that William was having second thoughts about settling down at such a young age. These rumors were not entirely without foundation. William was indeed struggling with the decision of when and how to propose to Kate. He was acutely aware that asking her to marry him would irrevocably change her life, subjecting her to a lifetime of public scrutiny and royal responsibility. He wanted to be absolutely certain that she understood what she would be taking on, and that she was ready for the sacrifices it would require. Kate, for her part, was beginning to question whether she was prepared for a life in which her every move would be watched and judged. She loved William deeply, but the reality of what their future together would look like was quite different from the romantic fantasies she might have harbored during their university days. The constant media attention was exhausting, and she wasn't sure she could endure decades more of the same treatment. The situation came to a head in the spring of 2007 when the couple decided to take a break from their relationship. The decision was mutual, though it was William who first suggested that they needed some time apart to think about their future. Both recognized that they were at a crossroads and needed to determine whether they could build a sustainable life together given the unique challenges they faced. The breakup, when it became public, generated massive media coverage. Every detail of their separation was analyzed and discussed, with various experts and commentators offering opinions about what had gone wrong and whether they would reconcile. Kate handled the public interest in her private life with remarkable dignity, refusing to give interviews or make any public statements about the relationship. During their time apart, both William and Kate gained valuable perspective on what they meant to each other. William realized how much Kate's support and companionship had meant to him, particularly during the challenging period of his military training. He also came to understand that his fears about subjecting her to royal life were ultimately less important than his desire to spend his life with her. If Kate was willing to take on the challenges that came with being his wife, then he should trust her judgment and support her through whatever difficulties they might face. Kate used the separation to focus on her own interests and career development. She left her job at Jigsaw and began working for her parents' party supply business, taking on responsibilities in catalog design and marketing that better utilized her creative skills. The work gave her a sense of purpose and accomplishment that helped restore some of her confidence and natural enthusiasm. More importantly, the time apart helped Kate clarify her own feelings about William and their potential future together. She realized that despite the challenges and sacrifices involved, she could not imagine her life without him. The difficulties they had faced had not diminished her love for him. If anything, they had strengthened her appreciation for the special connection they shared, and her determination to make their relationship work despite the obstacles. Friends of both William and Kate reported that they seemed happier and more confident during their reunion in the summer of 2007. The time apart had eliminated any doubts about their commitment to each other and had given them both a renewed appreciation for what they had together. They approached their relationship with greater maturity and a clearer understanding of what they would need to do to make it work in the long term. The media attention surrounding their reconciliation was intense, but both William and Kate handled it with greater confidence and composure than they had shown before their breakup. They seemed to have developed a better understanding of how to protect their privacy while still fulfilling their public obligations. Kate, in particular, appeared more self-assured and comfortable with the level of attention she received. The latter half of 2007 and early 2008 saw William and Kate's relationship stabilize and strengthen. They spent more time with each other's families, with Kate becoming a regular presence at royal gatherings, and William becoming increasingly comfortable with the Middleton family's more relaxed, informal approach to life. These experiences helped both of them envision how they might blend their different backgrounds and traditions if they were to marry. William's completion of his military training at Sandhurst in December 2006, followed by his subsequent postings with the Blues and Royals and later with the Royal Air Force, provided him with valuable experience and a sense of personal accomplishment that boosted his confidence in all areas of his life, including his relationship with Kate. He began to feel more ready to take on the responsibilities of marriage and eventual kingship. Kate, meanwhile, had found her footing in her work with her family's business and was developing her own interests in photography and charitable activities. She had also learned how to handle media attention more effectively, becoming skilled at maintaining her privacy while still being gracious and appropriate in public situations. Her growing confidence and competence made William even more certain that she would be an ideal partner for the life he would lead. By 2008, it was clear to everyone close to them that William and Kate had not only survived the challenges that had threatened their relationship, but had emerged from them stronger and more committed than ever. They had tested their love under the most difficult circumstances and found it to be genuine and enduring. The stage was set for the next chapter of their love story, one that would see them take the ultimate step of committing to spend their lives together as partners in both love and duty. By 2010, William and Kate's relationship had matured into a deep, unshakable bond that had weathered the storms of public scrutiny, career pressures, and personal uncertainty. They had been together for nearly a decade, through university years, a painful breakup, and a stronger reunion. Now, as William approached his late 20s, he knew with absolute certainty that Kate was the woman he wanted to spend his life with. The decision to propose had been building in William's mind for months. He had watched Kate handle every challenge thrown at her with grace and dignity. She had proven herself capable of maintaining her own identity while supporting him through the demands of his royal duties. Most importantly, she had shown him unconditional love that remained constant, regardless of external pressures or public opinion. William began planning the proposal with the same careful attention to detail that characterized his approach to all important decisions. He wanted the moment to be perfect, not just romantic and memorable, but also deeply personal and meaningful to both of them. The location he chose reflected this desire for intimacy and significance. Kenya, a country that held special meaning for both him and his family. Kenya had been the place where William's grandparents, then Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip, had learned of King George VI's death and Elizabeth's accession to the throne in 1952. It was also a country that William had come to love during his gap-year travels and subsequent visits. For Kate, Kenya represented adventure and new experiences, having visited the country with William on previous occasions where she had fallen in love with its stunning landscapes and warm people. In October 2010, William and Kate traveled to Kenya for what Kate believed was simply a romantic holiday. They stayed at a remote lodge in the heart of the African wilderness, surrounded by breathtaking scenery and abundant wildlife. The setting was perfectly suited to William's personality and their shared love of nature and outdoor adventures. On a particularly beautiful morning, as they sat beside a tranquil lake watching the sunrise over the African landscape, William knew the moment had arrived. He had been carrying his mother's engagement ring with him throughout the trip, waiting for the perfect opportunity to ask Kate the question that would change both their lives forever. The ring itself was deeply significant. Princess Diana's sapphire and diamond engagement ring had become one of the most recognizable pieces of jewelry in the world, symbolizing both love and tragedy. William had inherited the ring after his mother's death, along with its complex emotional history. By choosing to propose with this ring, William was not only honoring his mother's memory, but also symbolically welcoming Kate into the royal family and entrusting her with a precious piece of its history. When William dropped to one knee beside the Kenyan lake and asked Kate to marry him, her joy and surprise were genuine and overwhelming. Despite their long relationship and the obvious direction it was heading, the actual moment of proposal still felt magical and surreal. Kate's acceptance was immediate and wholehearted, accompanied by tears of happiness and declarations of love that made the moment perfect for both of them. The couple spent the remainder of their Kenyan holiday planning their future together and enjoying their newly engaged status in private. They made the conscious decision to keep their engagement secret for several weeks, wanting to savor this special time without the immediate intrusion of media attention and public obligations that would inevitably follow the announcement. When they returned to London, they shared their news with their families before making any public announcement. Both sets of parents were overjoyed, though not particularly surprised given the obvious depth and duration of the couple's relationship. The Queen expressed her delight at the engagement, while Kate's parents welcomed William into their family with the same warmth and affection they had shown him throughout his relationship with their daughter. The official announcement of the engagement came on November 16, 2010, accompanied by a series of official photographs that captured the couple's happiness and excitement about their future together. Kate's first appearance wearing Diana's engagement ring generated enormous public interest and media coverage, with many commentators noting the symbolic significance of the gesture and its implications for Kate's future role within the royal family. The engagement interview, conducted by ITV's Tom Bradby, revealed the couple's genuine affection for each other and their thoughtful approach to their future responsibilities. William spoke movingly about his decision to propose with his mother's ring, explaining that it was his way of ensuring that Diana was part of their wedding day and their future together. Kate's poise and articulate responses during the interview impressed viewers and demonstrated her readiness for the public role she would soon assume. Planning for the royal wedding began immediately, with the couple announcing that the ceremony would take place on April 29, 2011, at Westminster Abbey. The choice of venue reflected the historical significance of the occasion, while also allowing for the grand celebration that the British public and the world expected for such a momentous event. Kate faced the enormous challenge of planning a wedding that would satisfy multiple constituencies: the royal family's expectations for appropriate protocol and ceremony, the British public's desire for a celebration that would lift national spirits during difficult economic times, and her own and William's personal wishes for a meaningful and joyful celebration of their love. The months leading up to the wedding were intense for Kate, as she prepared for her transition from private citizen to royal family member. She undertook private lessons in royal protocol, worked with advisors on her public speaking skills, and began developing relationships with charitable organizations that would become part of her future public work. Throughout this preparation, William provided constant support and encouragement, helping her navigate the complex world she was entering. The media attention during the engagement period was unprecedented in its intensity and scope. Every detail of the wedding planning was scrutinized and discussed, from Kate's choice of wedding dress designer to the guest list to the menu for the reception. Kate handled this attention with remarkable composure, understanding that her wedding was not just a private celebration, but a public event of national and international significance. The wedding preparations also provided opportunities for the two families to blend their different backgrounds and traditions. The Middleton family's warmth and informality complemented the royal family's sense of duty and tradition, creating an atmosphere that honored both their heritage and their hopes for the future. These interactions helped establish the foundation for the strong family relationships that would support William and Kate throughout their married life. As April 29, 2011 approached, excitement built, not only in Britain, but around the world. The wedding was scheduled to be broadcast globally, with an estimated audience of 2 billion people expected to watch the ceremony. Street parties were planned throughout the United Kingdom, and people began camping along the wedding route days before the event to secure good viewing positions. Kate spent her final days as a single woman in careful preparation for the wedding and her new life afterward. She maintained her composure and grace under enormous pressure, understanding that her wedding day would be watched and remembered by millions of people for generations to come. Her focus remained on the significance of the commitment she was making to William, rather than the spectacle surrounding the event. The night before the wedding, William stayed at the Goring Hotel with his brother Harry and close friends, while Kate spent her last evening as Miss Catherine Middleton with her family at the same hotel. Both bride and groom later described feeling surprisingly calm and confident about the step they were taking, their certainty about their decision overriding any nervousness about the public nature of their wedding ceremony. The morning of April 29th dawned bright and clear, as if nature itself was blessing the union about to take place. Kate began her preparations early, surrounded by her family and closest friends. Her wedding dress, designed by Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen, was a closely guarded secret that would not be revealed until she stepped out of the Rolls-Royce at Westminster Abbey. As Kate made her final preparations for the journey to Westminster Abbey, she reflected on the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. From a middle-class girl from Berkshire to the future Queen of England, her life had been transformed by love but also by her own strength, determination, and grace under pressure. She was ready to take on the responsibilities that came with her new role, confident that with William by her side, she could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The wedding day would mark not just the beginning of their marriage, but also the start of their joint public life as one of the most important couples in the world. Their love story, which had begun in the halls of St. Andrews University, was about to enter its most public and significant chapter. The morning of April 29, 2011, transformed London into a stage for one of the most watched royal weddings in history. As Kate Middleton prepared to become Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, millions of people around the world gathered around television screens and computer monitors to witness a modern fairy tale come to life. Kate's journey from the Goring Hotel to Westminster Abbey was a moment of transition that symbolized her passage from private citizen to public figure. Dressed in her stunning Sarah Burton for Alexander McQueen gown, she traveled through the streets of London with her father, Michael Middleton, waving to the crowds that had gathered to celebrate her special day. The dress itself became an instant icon, with its perfect combination of classic elegance and contemporary style reflecting Kate's own approach to her new royal role. Inside Westminster Abbey, William waited at the altar with his brother Harry, both men dressed in their military uniforms. When Kate appeared at the entrance of the Abbey, William's face lit up with joy and pride as he watched the woman he loved walk down the aisle toward him. The ceremony that followed was both intimate and grand, combining personal moments between the couple with the pageantry and tradition befitting a royal wedding. The exchange of vows between William and Kate was heartfelt and meaningful, witnessed not only by the distinguished guests filling Westminster Abbey, but also by the estimated 2 billion people watching around the world. When they emerged from the Abbey as husband and wife, the crowds lining the streets of London erupted in celebration, their joy infectious and genuine. The balcony appearance at Buckingham Palace, complete with the traditional kiss that the crowds had been calling for, marked the official beginning of their life together as a married couple and working members of the royal family. The early years of their marriage were characterized by a careful balance between their personal relationship and their growing public responsibilities. William continued his military service with the Royal Air Force, working as a search and rescue helicopter pilot in Wales, while Kate began to develop her own portfolio of charitable work and public engagements. This period allowed them to establish themselves as a couple while maintaining some degree of privacy and normalcy in their daily lives. Kate's transition into her role as a working member of the royal family was gradual and thoughtful. She took time to learn about the organization she would be supporting, visiting projects and meeting with staff and beneficiaries before taking on formal patronages. Her natural warmth and genuine interest in people made her an immediate success at public events, while her growing confidence in public speaking and her elegant style made her a favorite with the media and the public. The couple's commitment to charitable work became one of the defining characteristics of their marriage. William's passion for conservation and mental health awareness complemented Kate's interests in early childhood development and the arts. Together, they began to develop a shared vision for how they could use their platform to make a positive difference in people's lives, building on the legacy of service that had been established by previous generations of the royal family. Their personal happiness was evident to all who saw them together during public appearances. They had developed an easy, comfortable partnership that allowed each of them to shine while supporting the other. William's protective instincts toward Kate were balanced by her growing independence and confidence in her role. They had clearly found a way to be both loving spouses and effective working partners. The announcement of Kate's first pregnancy in December 2012 brought the couple immense joy and added a new dimension to their relationship and public roles. The pregnancy was not without its challenges, as Kate suffered from severe morning sickness that required hospitalization. Throughout this difficult period, William was a devoted and attentive husband, rearranging his schedule to be with Kate whenever possible and ensuring she received the best possible medical care. The birth of Prince George, on July 22, 2013, marked a transformative moment in William and Kate's marriage. Becoming parents deepened their bond and gave them a shared purpose that extended beyond their public duties. William's hands-on approach to fatherhood and Kate's natural maternal instincts created a strong family unit that prioritized the well-being and happiness of their children above all else. Kate's confidence as a mother seemed to enhance every other aspect of her life. She approached her royal duties with renewed purpose and energy, bringing her perspective as a parent to her charitable work, particularly in areas related to children and family welfare. Her fashion choices became more refined and confident, establishing her as a global style icon while always maintaining the appropriate balance between glamour and accessibility. The couple's decision to have more children reflected their commitment to creating a strong family foundation. The birth of Princess Charlotte in May 2015 brought them immense joy, followed by the arrival of Prince Louis in April 2018. With each child, William and Kate demonstrated their determination to provide their children with as normal a childhood as possible while preparing them for their future roles within the royal family. Their approach to parenting reflected the lessons they had learned from their own childhoods and their shared values about family life. They prioritized spending time together as a family, whether at their Norfolk home at Anmere Hall or during private holidays away from public scrutiny. Their children were raised with an understanding of their special position in society, balanced with emphasis on kindness, respect, and service to others. As their family grew, so did William and Kate's influence and effectiveness as senior members of the royal family. They took on increasingly important roles in state functions and diplomatic activities, representing Britain on official visits around the world. Their tours of various countries were marked by their genuine interest in local cultures and their ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Kate's evolution from a shy university student to a confident future queen consort was remarkable to witness. She had developed her own areas of expertise and passion, particularly in early childhood development, becoming an articulate and knowledgeable advocate for policies and programs that support young families. Her work in this area drew on academic research and expert advice, demonstrating her commitment to making a meaningful contribution rather than simply fulfilling ceremonial duties. The couple's relationship with the media and the public evolved significantly over the years of their marriage. They learned to balance their desire for privacy, particularly regarding their children, with their understanding of public interest in their lives and work. Their communication strategy became more sophisticated and proactive, allowing them to share meaningful moments and important messages while maintaining boundaries around their personal family time. Their marriage also weathered various external challenges and pressures that tested their resilience and unity. Family dramas, political changes, and global crises all provided opportunities for William and Kate to demonstrate their commitment to each other and to their roles. Through each challenge, they presented a united front that reassured the public and reinforced their position as a stable, reliable presence within the royal family. The development of their joint charitable foundation, later known as the Royal Foundation, provided a vehicle for William and Kate to pursue their shared vision for positive social change. Through this organization, they tackled issues ranging from mental health awareness to conservation to emergency service support, using their platform to highlight important causes and drive meaningful action. As they approached their 10th wedding anniversary in 2021, William and Kate had established themselves as one of the most effective and popular royal couples in modern history. Their marriage had not only survived the unique pressures of royal life, but had thrived, providing them with the foundation they needed to fulfill their increasingly important roles within the monarchy. Their love story, which began with a chance meeting at university, had evolved into a partnership that balanced personal happiness with public service. They had created a beautiful family while building a legacy of charitable work and public service that honored the traditions of the royal family while adapting to the needs and expectations of contemporary society. Looking toward the future, William and Kate faced the prospect of even greater responsibilities as they prepared for William's eventual succession to the throne. Their marriage had provided them with the strength and stability they would need to take on these ultimate roles, while their children represented the next generation of the royal family, raised with the values and preparation they would need for their own future service. Their enduring love story served as an inspiration to millions around the world, demonstrating that true partnership could flourish even under the most challenging circumstances. From university sweethearts to future king and queen consort, William and Kate had built something extraordinary together. A marriage based on love, respect, and shared purpose that would serve as the foundation for their life of service to their country and the Commonwealth.